That's a cool Rick.
Well, first and foremost, guys, this is an incredibly important and very grateful-filled episode of the Metal Summit tonight. Not only do we have a killer, stellar, incredible guest that we're having tonight, the fact of the matter is this episode really does belong to you guys. It is our 1-year anniversary, 1 year into this show, where the group of us got together, to put together this cool little project. It really took up some legs and really got us all of our juices flowing, got us really, really motivated. So the fact of the matter is, Metal Summoners, this episode in particular really belongs to you. As always, this is your place, man. We're your island of misfit toys. We've got the Psycho Steve. We've got Angel Alamo. We've got Jason Perlswijk, Bobby Dreyer, and I'm Jay. As always, guys, we really, really appreciate it. The first half of the week is over. We're over it. It is over with us. This is where all the fun begins as we get towards the weekend. But again, like I was saying, we started this show right before the sadness of last year, and we were your place to go every week during it to bring you up, to keep everything super happy and super duper positive. So we're really, really grateful to you guys for being so committed to us and being just such badass fans and always chiming in killer questions and wanting to be a part of this show, which is as much yours as it is ours. What I'm going to do now, actually, though, is I am going to kick it over to Psycho Steve. We've got a couple of special just kind of thank yous that we want to throw out. So, Psycho, it's all you, brother.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say a blanket thank you to our fans that have stuck it out from the beginning or the middle or now or just joined us now. Also, I wanted to say a very special thank you to Max Ash and Mitch LaFon, who actually both of them were on the first couple episodes of our show when we were called the M3 Summit, and then we make it the Metal Summit. So I just wanted to say thank you for putting us together, because without them, they're partially responsible for the chaos that goes on here. So Max and, of course, Mitch, namaste, domani arigato, gracias, shalom, thanks. And that's
Absolutely.
what I can say.
100%. And actually, on that note, since, 4 of us have been a dominant core when it came to starting this show, we really do owe some special gratitude and thank you to our own Jason for being involved with us, when we did have a chair open who wanted to be involved and continue on with this journey. So fact of the matter is, Jason, for real, man, we do appreciate you, man.
Thank you. It's all cool.
Absolutely. I know he wasn't really expecting me to put him on the spot like that, right. But it's just that's just how we do things. But again, Metal Summoners, this episode is for you, so we're going to crank it up a little bit. We thank you guys so much. We love you guys to death. And on that note, let's bring in the guest for this episode, the 1-year anniversary show, Foreigner, Dokken. There's about 52 other bands that he's in right now that I could bring up, but then the episode will be over. Mr. Jeff Pilson, how are you, sir?
Great, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your 1-year anniversary. Feels kind of special.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man, for sure. We are super duper stoked to have you for this episode. But let's jump right into it. Over the last couple of years, of course, COVID was something we really didn't expect in the music industry. But for you, with all of what you do, I mean, you have 2 bands with fairly recent music, with both The Endgame and Black Swan. So talk a little bit respectively about those 2 projects.
All right. Well, it's actually The End Machine. But Endgame, if that name weren't taken...
Oh, shit. Sorry, Jeff. Yeah, The End Machine.
That's okay. You know what? You're not the first person to do that, by the way, I might add. Anyway, so End Machine is the project with George Lynch, and originally it was George Lynch, Mick Brown, so 3 of us from Dokken, and then singing is Robert Mason from Warrant, who's amazing. Robert was also at Lynch 12 years. Anyways, and a Jersey guy for you Jersey fellas. Anyway,
Jersey.
So we came out with a record, I think it was in 2018 or 19, I forget, 19 maybe? Yeah, I think it was 2019. Anyway, so we came out with the first record then. We did some shows, had some fun with it. We just finished album 2. The first single came a couple days ago, and that's a song called Blood and Money. And we did another video that's going to be coming out in another few weeks. That's a song called Crack the Sky. And the record comes out April 9th. And we are really, really stoked about it, really excited. If you haven't heard the first track, you got to hear it. It's called Blood and Money, and it's very cool. George does one of his ridiculous solos in it, and it's amazing. So really excited about that. As for Black Swan, that record came out, of course, right at the beginning of 2020, which was, so of course, and it's called Shake the World. Little did we know. But anyways, so that project or band features Red Beach on guitar, Red Beach from Winger and Whitesnake, Robin McCauley from McCauley Schenker,
Yes,
Raiding the Rock Vault and everything on vocals, amazing singer, and Matt Stars on drums, myself on bass. That record came out, like I say, right at the beginning of last year, and but we're going to start writing another one soon. But you can find some videos for the first one. There's 2 videos: a song called "Shake the World" and a song called "Big Disaster." Both kind of applicable names there for 2020. But anyway, so that's Black Swan. That came out in 2020. There's going to be a new record for Black Swan in 2022. So yes, I've been fortunate during this pandemic. I know a lot of people have it rough, and I understand that. And, I certainly haven't gone on the road, and I've missed playing live. But I've had my studio, so I've gotten to do a lot of great music, and that, so I consider myself one of the lucky ones.
Absolutely. And even when it comes with Black Swan, when you were just discussing the lineups of The End Machine and Black Swan, with you and Reb, there's a little bit of a Dokken thing there too, because he played in Dokken with you, doing the Erase the Slate record. So that's got to be, a little bit kind of cool, because of course you've got history with Reb going back then.
Well, and that's really how Black Swan came about, because Reb and I knew that we had a great writing chemistry, because we did a lot of the writing on Erase the Slate together, and we just forged a great chemistry, and when you have that, that's an invaluable thing. So when I was asked, Frontiers, basically the record label Frontiers, asked me to put together another supergroup, kind of like the M Machine side type thing, and the first thing I thought of was Reb. And so when I talked about it, we were Foreigner was playing with Whitesnake. They were opening for us on a tour in the States. So when I asked Reb about it, he said, "Well, would we get to write together?" I said, "Yep." And he goes, "Then I'll do it." So it was really our chemistry that led to the whole thing.
That's awesome, man. Right on, for sure. Bobby Dreyer, let's get you right in on here, my friend.
I'm gonna kick Jeff's ass right now. So Jeff,
be gentle. It's early in the show.
Oh, a little bit. Oh, hello, no lube right here. But Jeff, you being a bass player, let's play Name That Bass. Okay, first one. Who?
Jaco Pastorius.
All righty. It gets tougher.
Kind of obvious, fretless jazz bass.
All right.
I have seen Tom
because you only can walk one way.
Yeah. Well, I have seen Tom Hamilton play a bass very similar to that, so I'm going to guess Tom Hamilton.
Okay. Let's get a little tougher here. Oh, here we go.
Right? Was that right?
You were.
Yeah.
You're right on that one.
2 for 2. Like Chuck Woolery.
That looks like Chuck Woolery, did you say?
No,
Chuck Woolery played
six
bass,
string.
but if he did.
It would be John somebody.
John Petrucci?
Yes.
Wow. That's because actually that's who you think of when you see a bass that looks like that.
Okay, Linda's not with us, so this would be
Paul McCartney bass.
Of course.
Not belonging to Paul, but
oh yes. So
that belonged to Paul.
No, that's my 4003. So
Okay.
this one is, it's got some hot peppers on it.
Lee.
No, Wolfie didn't do it, but
Okay. So Michael Anthony.
of course.
Okay. Oh, Chili Peppers. Of course, he loves spicy.
Yes.
I love
Actually,
that.
as a bass guy myself, looking at John's bass always makes me cringe. But in like
Here
a
we go.
respectful way, because I've got small hands that I would never be able to do a sixer.
Gentlemen, little
Okay, give me a hint on this.
surfed with an alien.
Stu Ham?
Yes.
Wow.
Good.
Oh, you are the shit. All right, here we go.
Who I've never met, but I've heard he's a great guy.
All right, I'm going to give you a bigger hint. 24 hours ago.
Wow, that's a Ramon bass?
Yes,
Wow. I forget the name of the bass player, but I know his last name is Ramon.
Marky.
Marky.
Right.
The Marky was the drummer, Bobby.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right.
I think he meant to say Dee.
If you're going to do 64 flat wounds on a 62 Hofner, wait, Jeff just had a trouble. Oh, all right.
All right.
We're in the same boat.
All right. Well, I mean, it's obviously a Beatle bass, so there you go.
Paul.
Yeah.
See, you think
That's Sir Paul, by the way.
And wait,
Facts.
sometimes it's love.
Sometimes it's love. Oh, wow, Doug? That's a Doug bass?
That's a Dougie.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen him play those. Cool.
Nice.
That's
Bobby,
a
let
nice
me
collection
reel
of guys
you back
that are-
in, buddy.
There's a lot more, but yeah, I love you know.
That's okay. 'Cause you know what? All the girls that were watching this have left already now. So
Yeah, it was a sausage party. We went that way. But I wanted to say, I love the fact that you are such, because bass players are like, what? I'm going, if you don't understand, look, I have a Chris Squire back there. I have a couple other things, and you know.
nice. A real Chris Squire, or is it?
Yeah, a real. Yeah, a real.
It really
Chris.
belonged to him.
No. I bought it when Rick did those, and you know, but
What is it? A Rickenbacker?
yeah.
Oh wow, a Rickenbacker from Chris Squire. That's so cool.
Well, one, and these guys knew real quick. Wait,
Can you do live editing?
Well,
right,
we can just
when
put
he's
Jason
done
put up
that.
the picture.
so this was Tom Peterson's, which Chip had.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah, so it was Chip's 12-string, which was from Tom. So yeah, I love bass. So you were one of my idols growing up.
Oh wow. Well, thank
So
you.
thank you.
Well, awesome collection, man. Very, very cool.
Thank you. You kicked my ass on Burning Like a Flame and everything else and things shit you did coming up. I'm like,
Well, thank you.
thank you.
It's badass, man. That was a killer segment for sure. Name that bass. Bobby, I'll bring you back in a little bit, buddy, but I'm going to kick it up to Psycho Steve.
Okay, so let's talk Dokken.
Sure.
Okay, so you aren't originally the original bass player. Technically, the original bass player, if my memory serves me correctly, was Ron Crochet.
You are correct.
So were you friends with the guys? Because Juan didn't ever record anything that actually was on like a label, except, you know, the early stuff. Like, how did you become the bass player of Dokken?
Well, I had just moved to LA, and Don had called a guy by the name of Mike Varney. Do you know who Mike Varney is?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, you know, even then, Mike was known as the guy you call to find out, you know, to connect musicians. He was great at that. You know, he had the column and guitar player. He knew all the shredding guitar players. But I had just moved to LA, and I had been in a band with Mike. We had done a record together too. And so when Don asked him, "Do you know of any singing bass players?" he said, "Yeah, I know a guy that just moved there." So that's where we made the connection.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out well. 'Cause like I say, I had only been to LA a couple months, so it was great.
Nice.
That's killer. Steve, I'm actually going to keep it with you, but just on that note, I think Juan is actually credited as the bass player on the Breaking the Chains record.
He is. That's true.
Absolutely. Jeff, did you play it all on that record, or is it accurate that that was Swan on that record?
Juan's on a couple songs, but actually most of the bass is played by Peter Baltus from Accept.
Yes.
Because that was when they were in Germany, and so that was a couple years before I joined. They recorded it in '81, and it came out in '83. So they, but that was Peter on it because I forget why Juan didn't do it at the time. Maybe he had gone back to join Rat the first time or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure of the details, but I know Peter played most of the record.
Right on. Awesome, man. Steve, keep rolling, my dude.
Okay, the follow-up and everything. How did you get the gig with Foreigner?
Well, I did a movie, which you guys had mentioned in the pre-show stuff, movie called Rockstar. And the movie was Jason Bonham, son of John Bonham, was the drummer in the movie, and we were in the band together. And during the movie, not only were we good friends, but we had a good playing chemistry too. So when he started working with Mick Jones in 2004, they weren't really sure what it was going to be at first, but I think Jason kind of pushed him in the direction of revamping Foreigner. And then they called me and asked me if I wanted to come down and play. And it started out as a charity. It was just going to be this one charity event. But I came down to play, and we got along great, and everything just flowed great. That Mick got excited, and he decided he wanted to revamp Foreigner. So there you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was fun. It started off for the right reasons, Everything felt really good. Great band.
Excellent band.
That's
Both bands.
Right on.
But I mean, yeah, Jason and Mick and I had something that was really, really cool. I was very excited about it too. It's lasted till now. I mean, I'm still in the band because I got so excited from it.
That's awesome, man. Right on. Jason, it's time to bring you in, my good dude. It's all you.
Okay, so Jeff, how did you get into playing bass and getting into music in general? Like, what sparked that fire in you?
Well, I gotta say, I think like a lot of guys, seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when they first came out, I'm revealing my age, but what the hell, I'm old. But seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan definitely planted the big seed. That was definitely it. And I loved the Beatles, and I loved music. And then when I was 12, I used to go around singing this. It was a jingle for a root beer company in Milwaukee where I was living. And I don't know why I sang it. I think people would ask me to sing it. I think it was a funny commercial. That's probably why I did. Anyways, whatever. I was singing this commercial, and these guys came up to me and they said, "Hey, man, we're going to start a band. Do you want to sing?" And I said, "Well, sure." And they go, "Hey, we need a bass player too. Would you learn to play bass?" I said, "Okay, sure." So it was really that simple and innocent. And that's what happened. I started that, and that was 51 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
That is really cool.
That's awesome, man. Right on for sure. Angel, I'm actually going to kick it to you pretty quick, buddy, because I'm sure the fans are already chiming in.
Oh, yes. Kimberly Sullivan, she's a bass playing girl, so was really thankful for the bass playing segment.
Oh, cool.
And she also has a question. Any truth to Foreigner, Dokken touring together this year?
Not that I'm aware of, and I doubt it.
Oh. And Candy Burton wants to know your favorite songs to play in Dokken and your favorite songs to play in Foreigner.
Favorite songs to play in Dokken? It's Not Love. That's definitely one. Unchain the Night, when we play that's really fun. What else is really fun in Dokken? Bunch of them. Dream Warriors is really fun to play. 5-string stuff is fun. Kiss of Death is really fun. There's a bunch of Dokken songs that are really fun. As for Foreigner, wow. I love when we jam on Jukebox Hero, we do a lot of this jamming. Oh,
that
sounded like being If It's Not Love. So we get to do a lot of jamming on Jukebox Hero, which is fun. I Want to Know What Love Is. We usually jam the intro to that. That's really fun. Head Games is fun just because I love that feel. There's so many. There's so many. Urgent's a kick, it's just so many. Feels like the first time. Love that song,
And my question is, and again, just really curious to ask because you seem busier now than you were when you first started. So what keeps you going? Because you tour, you do like about 100 shows a year with Foreigner, and the other times you're working on different projects. So what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
You know what?
Being that you're this many years in.
I still love music like I was a 15-year-old kid. What can I say? Still means a lot to me. And it's, I'll even go so far as saying it's kind of like in your blood to the point where you have to do it. It's not even want to do it. It's have to do it. I have to make music. I don't feel, if I go too long without making music, I don't feel balanced. I don't feel like myself. So that's a big motivation for me. And, I'd like to leave a good mark. When they bury me away, I'd like to have a couple thing, like anybody, I guess.
That's awesome. Wow. For sure. I mean, when it comes to Dokken songs live, I'll even throw in Hunter because I've always loved the arrangement of that song, even on like the bass side for sure as well.
Yeah,
so.
That is a fun one to play bass too.
I've always definitely been big on that one for sure. So just kind of like a fun question because I'm sure like we mentioned it before in the earlier segment, we talked about it offline. I'd love to just kind of like just touch on the Rockstar movie with you and just talk about like being involved with it, the filming of it, and talk a little bit about when you had to perform live, with the big stage setups that they were, because, Steel Dragon was basically, kind of like the Judas Priest type of a band that plays, the arena shows. And so talk a little bit about just being involved with that, playing and the sets and everything.
Well, it was really fun because everybody got along great and we had a lot of laughs and the actors were really cool. The director was really cool. I mean, Stephen Herrick, who directed the movie, was just a wonderful guy, great director, just kept it fun and lighthearted, but also we got the biz done, it was great. So the atmosphere was great. There's a lot of hours of sitting around when you make a movie. So it's great that, when you can kind of have a rapport with the people and get to know the people and have fun with them. So I think that really helped establish something that made it a little more than just a business thing. It felt more family than that. And then the sets were incredible because we had Dio's old light guy, a guy by the name of Paul Dexter, who is a genius. He is a frigging light genius. Wow. He did the lights for Rockstar, and that lighting rig that we had, we set up at the LA Sports Arena for a month. We did end up doing a show the last day. I mean, like a show when it was like a free radio show that got people in, but and Megadeth and a bunch of other people played for real. And then we did our movie thing, which is we didn't play a real live show. We ran the movie stuff, but with a live audience. So it was kind of cool. So that was great. The lighting rig for that show though was the biggest lighting rig of par cans in history. So I love that. It was an amazing set. It really was.
Oh, that's super duper cool for sure. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Rockstar on a previous episode that we did because we actually had Carrie Stevens on, who was Zach Wilde's wife in that movie. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool to kind of get a different like perspective of like the Rockstar movie and everything like that. And did playing, in that movie and doing those, shows, real or fake, kind of make you feel good about, beforehand and building up your career? Like, was there any nostalgia in being like, yeah, I remember when I was building up playing those arena shows and the fact I still get to do it and you're still doing it with Foreigner? It's pretty good spread.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure what the question was, but yes, I mean, I'm grateful for any playing I get to do, and the fact that I get to ever play arenas still at my age is crazy to me, but I'm very grateful for it and very thankful. Just got to love the fact that people love this music,
Absolutely. No, 100%. Bobby Dreyer, let's bring you back in, brother.
Jeff, I got 3 let me see if you can tame the dragon here. So this would be 1996. Kulick is no longer in the band.
So that's a Gene Simmons bass.
Yes.
Wow.
Little Kramer. Okay.
Bobby's not going to ask a question all night. He just wants to play
No,
Name the
I'm
Bass.
bringing basses out. Look, I got a bass player here,
Oh, true.
Everybody, Reggie is a wonderful guy in Nashville, but his brother, Victor, plays bass.
Can I guess?
I don't know.
Can I guess?
Yeah,
Victor Wooten?
Victor Wooten?
Yeah, it's a Victor
Oh.
Wooten.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's Victor's.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool.
I saw him at Bella Fleck in the Flecktones.
No. Okay.
We saw him at this tiny little
Here
club.
we go.
So
Here
cool.
we go. So, Metallica in Toronto blows their arm off, but the douchebag doesn't come out for 3 hours later. Oh, wait, who is that?
Wait a minute. That's not a Jason bass.
No, it's a Duff.
It's Duff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, Bobby, that was so rude. Leave
Sorry, that was a dick move. My bad.
Go to your room.
Go and sit in the corner with your dunce hat on. Psycho, come in and save us.
Okay.
So here's the whole thing, Jeff. When is your bass coming out? Dude, you have been iconic on a lot of things. Should we be kicking the ass on, Gibson or, Fender and going,
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind I think the problem is really what I really play mostly is vintage precision basses. And, so I guess they'd have to come up with one. I mean, I wouldn't mind if you copied a couple of my basses. I mean, I've got some pretty cool ones. One, though, that I have.
Go ahead, bring them out.
Okay, well, this is a bass.
Summertime.
I wouldn't call it my model, but this is a 10-string bass made by Keith Horn at Marvin.
Yeah.
It's a really cool bass, this 10-string. I had done, when Foreigner opened for Led Zeppelin at the O2 Arena in 2007, John Paul Jones had a 10-string.
Wait a second. I will take a picture. I have Jason's drum kit in my room that I bought from O2.
Really?
Yeah.
You bought Jason's kit from the O2?
Yeah, because he switched to DW.
Wow, interesting. Anyways, okay, so when I saw that show, I asked, I'd been talking about wanting to get a 10-string bass that sounded like John Paul Jones's at the O2 Arena. And I tried a bunch of them and nothing happened. And then I ran into Keith, who's also a friend, and he said, well, I'll make you one. So he made this beautiful bass. I mean, check out the pickups, look so cool. Check out the flame on the neck. That's cool.
Who is that?
It's Marvin Guitars is the name of the company. Marvin, Marvin. And the guy's name is Keith Horn that made it, but he's the president of the company. So really great stuff. They make a lot of guitars too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a gear nerd, whore, everything, and I'm a bass nerd as well. But so that's why I'm doing all this.
Well, very cool. Okay, I'll give you a quick little tour. I don't want to take too much time about this.
No, hello.
This is my '63 T-Bird.
Oh,
that's a really cool bass. You saw the Hofner.
You're Hofner.
Okay, let me go grab my 50 AP bass real quick. It's my baby.
It's rock and roll, man.
Absolutely. No, for sure.
Wow.
You don't get this shit on Eddie Trunk.
No.
That is true.
This is my 50 AP bass that I've been playing on record. I bought this in 1986, so I've been playing this on everything from Dio and Dokken to. So yeah, I love this bass. This is my baby.
That's what people want to hear, man. This is,
Yeah, and I won't bore you with it anymore. But
no, it's not boring.
No.
You don't know our crowd. Look, they're on Reverb right now looking for used shit right now.
Yeah, seriously. They're buying bass guitars as we speak.
They're driving the prices up.
No, absolutely. No, it's funny, Jeff, because in the previous segment with Bobby, when he was showing the 6-string guitar for John, like anytime I see like straight up 6 strings like that for bass, I always like cringe a little bit, but not in like a bad way. It's just because me as a bass guy, I've got really small hands. I can't maneuver on those.
You know
like,
what they say, Jay, about
basses,
small
man.
hands?
Huh?
You know what they say about small hands, Jay?
Yeah, be that as it may, Bobby, I still get the job done. But the fact
I got
of
the same
matter
problem.
is, those really like wide necks have always been like a thing like for me. So I'm very like aggressive to like I like my 4-string basses and 5ers if I have to play it. So that was just something I wanted to kick in from the previous segment. But Psycho Steve, let's bring you back in, brother.
Okay, so we talked about a little bit of Dokken. We talked a little bit about Foreigner. I would love to talk about the late great Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
I would love to know, did you try out for him, or did someone refer you? How did that gig come about?
Well, no, I mean we were already good friends, and especially Vinny Appice and I were real good friends, and Vinny had been playing in my War and Peace band, and so I mean, and you know, Dokken started opening up for Dio in '83,
Right.
and you know, so we were already pretty close friends. This was in early '93. No, actually, it's funny. I was at home, and I was working, but I was bummed out because my sprinklers weren't working in my yard. I was trying to, you know, and I was kind of bummed out. And all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door, and I go to the door, and it's Ronnie and Vinny. And they're going, "Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man?" And I'm like, "Hey, guys." And, you know, mind you, we didn't live that far from each other, so it wasn't totally out of the blue that they would come by, but it was, you know, a little unexpected. So anyways, I said, "Well, come on in." I said, "What's up?" They said, "Well, you know, Jimmy didn't make it again to rehearsal, so we're thinking we'd like to replace him. So, do you know anybody that would want to play bass with us?" And I said, "Yeah, me." And they said, "Really?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah." I mean, I had been working with Don for a while, but it didn't really turn into a Dokken reunion, and so I felt like it was kind of stagnating. So, and I was really, you know, the thought of playing with Vinny and Ronnie was just too great. So and they said, "Well, great, you know, we got this rehearsal place down the street. Can you come right now?" I said, "Well, no, because my sprinklers are broken." And they go, "Ah." Now, mind you, both Ronnie and Vinny were really handy guys. Like, they knew how to fix stuff. So they go, "Well, show us the sprinklers." So literally, Ronnie and Vinny go into my backyard and into the little electrical thing and all that stuff. They fixed my sprinklers in about 15 minutes. They go, "Okay, we're done. Let's go." So we went and played, and that was it.
Awesome. Wow.
Awesome, man, for sure.
Like
Like,
Pete and Dio plumbing supply. I can just see it now. Or sprinkler.
Hey, Jay, let me interject real quick. So,
yeah, man.
When you did the one live album with all 4 of you got back together, how was the animosity there? I mean, was there a lot of tension?
And some, but not bad. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it ended up getting bad, but actually, when we first got back together, it was okay, and that was the end of '94. Yeah, it was all right. It was okay.
That album, it is spectacular. I mean, the shit that's on there is
the One Live Night record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. That was really fun. Great project.
I mean, you pulled things out on that album that people probably, especially of our generation, that never heard. I mean, you know,
ELP cover and stuff like that.
It was just really beautiful, the things that you pulled out there. And it was like, you know, people don't do that nowadays.
Well, yeah, it was a nice chance to show some musicality. That was a very, very cool aspect of it. Yep, I agree. Well, I'm all for musical projects, whatever they can be.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
Absolutely, for sure. Jason, let's bring you back in, my good brother. It is your time on the roundabout wheel.
So I just want to step back a minute and that story that you just said with Ronnie, and I pictured in my head them walking down the street or driving over to your place and saying let's mess with him, let's go. He's a bass player. We all know each other. Let's just go and ask him if he knows any bass players. Let's see what he says. I could just picture that in my head, like how they were like planning it, and I don't know. It's just
they may well have done that. That's very, very possible. I mean, yeah, I think we're deep down hinting for me, but they didn't want to outrightly ask or whatever.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So if you had any advice for anybody out there that is looking to get into the music as a career, what would you tell them? Like, how would you what would you suggest to help with their path?
Well, the main thing I can tell you is I think the most important thing is you got to follow your passion. So whether it be playing or writing or singing or whatever, really learn what you like. And it's always good to listen to advice, but don't do that at the expense of what you feel internally. You listen to your gut. Your gut is the real indicator of what's right. And playing music is all about feeling. So if the feeling isn't right, it's not going to be good. So pay attention to those things, and you got to work hard. I mean, obviously it's an endless amount of work because it's very competitive. You got to be good to compete. So there's that. So you got to love it. And if you love it, then pursue it like there's nothing else, because it takes that kind of intensity to really break through the pack. So I just say, stay dedicated, listen to your heart, and work like hell.
Nice. Absolutely, man, for sure. That's killer, man. Angel, let's bring you back in, man. How are the Metal Summoners doing and all of Jeff's fans?
They're loving the show.
Oh, good.
And they also have a few questions as well. This one's from Tony. Any chance of original Dokken during any touring?
I suppose so. I mean, there's nothing practical. We haven't talked about anything. I mean, what I do know is I know we'd love to make a record. I think I speak for everybody. I mean, Don is making a Dokken record right now, and he has his version of Dokken, and that's his baby or whatever. But I know that we've talked about the original guys making one last record. I mean, we've all kind of touched on it here and there. And I think we'd all like to do it if the situation was right. And if that ever did happen, and I don't know. I mean, like I say, we've talked about it, and we can't do it right now anyway, so who knows if it ever would happen. But if it did, it would take a lot of work. And if that was the case, I think we'd want to see it through and do a tour, or at least some shows afterwards. But unfortunately, I'm only speculating. There's just no concrete information one way or the other.
And Bruce Mitchell wants to know, did you play with Johnny Edwards at Hammerjacks?
With Foreigner? No.
And our beloved friend Matt Porter wants to know, what are your
memories
of making Dokken music videos, and do you have any favorites that you made?
Wow. Well, videos for us, I don't think videos were the strong point of Dokken. But they were fun. I mean, some were more of a hassle than others. It's Not Love was really fun, especially by the end.
I love that. Oh my God.
We really did. We were really playing on a truck driving around LA, and we really did end up at the Rainbow in front of the Rainbow late that night. And it did turn into this spontaneous parking lot kind of thing. So that was really fun. Although I was also sick as a dog on the It's Not Love video, because we had just gotten back from Europe a couple weeks before that, and I'd gotten a stomach parasite. So they had to actually have a porta potty follow the truck as it drove to LA. So in between every take, I could use it. It was horrible.
Hershey squirts.
Yeah, not good. But it was. But, most of the videos were fun on one level or another. The Dream Warriors one was kind of fun just because Robert Englund is so funny. Yeah, and so that was
Jay fucking grin like a Cheshire cat right there.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's my question. We know that you now produce records. Growing up, did you have any favorite music producers that you admired?
Absolutely. I mean, starting with George Martin, absolute genius, and just did so many, started so many of the things that we all still do today. I mean, just he's the classic great producer. And then I was a huge Mutt Lange guy in the '80s. I loved Mutt Lange. I just really studied his work a lot. I mean, a lot of the classic guys I've loved, but Mutt Lange was kind of the big guy. Nigel Godrich, the guy that does Radiohead, he's great.
Yeah.
And Trevor Horn, when he did the Yes record, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and all that stuff. So and the Seal records, those are great. So I mean, I think I'm a fan of most great producers. A lot to learn from them.
Oh, that's killer, man, for sure. Like something that I kind of wanted to ask you about that I just think is just kind of fun and sort of interesting. You seem to have this, depending on the project, this interesting little segment or situation of like some bands changing names. So you had Flesh and Blood that then became War and Peace, and you had, at least from my understanding, Tooth and Nail that became TNN.
Yes.
So what's the story on those?
Bad luck.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
With Flesh and Blood, we were actually rehearsing next door to a band that was called Dear Mr. President, which I thought was a great name, by the way. But then when they got their deal on Atlantic, they wanted to change their name, and they decided to change it to Flesh and Blood.
What?
I'm pretty sure they heard it from rehearsing next to me. I'm kind of like almost
Those walls weren't that thick. Hello.
Yeah, right. Well, they would have known who was rehearsing next door. I knew who was rehearsing next door. So I mean, I got a little, craw about that, but as far, and so I changed it to War and Peace because I had to. And oddly enough, that band, Flesh and Blood, that was Dear Mr. President, do you know who produced their debut record?
No.
You.
Mick Jones.
Really?
Oh, wow.
It's a small world. Yeah. Isn't that a small world? Funny. Anyways, and then TNN, or Tooth and Nail, there was a record company called Tooth and Nail that did a cease and desist on us, so we had to change it.
Oh, I thought I had heard that on an episode of that metal show, but I wasn't totally sure if that was the actual reason or not. So I figured I would just ask it again.
Sure. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you'll like this story because you're probably aware of it from that episode. I've actually got a T-shirt from that metal show that says Tooth and Nail on it.
Really?
So I think. Yeah.
As did one of the guests?
I think they might have been handing them out as promos.
You're right. And you know what? They didn't know until we got there that we had to change it because it had just happened. So you're right. They did. You're right. They did make something that they gave up to people.
I have one of those shirts in my closet.
So Jay, you have a collector's item.
I do, and the funny thing about it, I've got an actual TNN Slave to the Empire shirt as well. It's the TNN logo on the front, Slave to the Empire on the back. So I've got this little like pairing dual little collector's thing I love to have. I actually haven't broken those shirts out in a while, so I'm going to have to do it just because of this episode.
Nice and
for
crispy.
Sure. No, exactly. Just be careful where I wear it around because I don't want to get sued or anything.
There you go.
But no, dude, that's super duper cool. So I always thought that was kind of a funny thing with you having some bands that seem to change names on the fly. So I had to ask. And also just kind of as like a follow-up because I think it's super duper cool that you've been producing so regularly, it seems, as well. And I was fortunate enough a couple years ago to run into Vinny Appice at a horror movie convention, actually. He was doing a convention called Monster Mania Con, and that's actually where I met him and did my first interview with him. So he and I were talking, and so because I've always loved all of that stuff, but they're actually with TNN, off of TNN, Last in Line. This is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
You produced their first 2 records. Was your relationship with Vinny kind of the catalyst for that?
Well, Vinny, Jimmy, and Vivian, really. I mean, like it's kind of all ties in. I mean, those guys have been close friends since Dokken toured with them in '83. So, really close friends. And, like I say, I've been in a couple bands with Vinny, and, I consider Vinny one of my dearer friends. So, but I suppose he was kind of the catalyst, but I think it was mostly, like I say, the chemistry of the three of those guys. It just really, we knew it would be good even before we did anything. It was great.
Absolutely. Would you say it's kind of your extensive history of, your records with Doc and your records, leading up to that? Did you find yourself like really paying attention to the producer's work when you were performing as opposed to producing? Did watching them do their thing kind of juice you up to do it yourself?
I've always wanted to be a producer. It's always been, something that in all the records I've always made. I mean, like when we did the Tooth and Nail record, I would hang out with the engineer nonstop. I've always been into that. I mean, I was that kid that had 2 cassette machines. I would record something on one cassette machine, and then I record it on the other one, and So I mean, I've been into recording for a very, very, very long time.
Very cool.
So I was a sponge. I mean, I got to work with some great people: Roy Thomas Baker, Neil Kernan, Wynn Davis, Michael Wagner. I mean, come on, I got to work.
Love Michael. I'm gonna be with Michael in 2 weeks.
Oh wow! Tell him hi from him. Tell him
I'll be down in Nashville.
Tell him Ray Canfield says hi.
Ray Canfield.
Yes.
What's that, like a porn name?
No. Where does this mind go? Anyway, no. When you say that, I guarantee you he's gonna laugh.
I'm laughing.
Ray Canfield. Hey, Michael, I'm with Ray Canfield. He goes, oh yeah, Jeff.
Write that down. Don't forget it.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. Right on. Bobby, hold tight because I'm about to kick it to you. But as it gets towards the top of the hour, we always take a second to thank our endorsements and thank our sponsors that wanted to be involved with us and help us to build our show, to make it as big as we can be. So we always, let everybody know, hey, anybody who wants to be involved with the Metal Summit, please don't be shy. We've got different levels of involvement, and we're happy to discuss everything with you. So anybody who's watching, anybody who wants to be involved, please, reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to discuss it. But we always want to thank Rock and Horror Apparel, TMS alumni Mark and Janet for being involved with us. They're actually running a deal right now on rockandhorror.com where they're doing with the code SPRING15, you get 15% off your entire order. So anybody who loves, their, apparel, their clothes, their stage gear, they clothe members of the Metal Summit. There's a little bit of love and fun right there for you guys to get from them. We always want to thank BLE. We really appreciate Brad and Angie and Dawn for everything that they do for us. For anybody that's not aware, they do have a show with headliners Roxy Blue coming up on April 18th with tickets live right now on BLERocks.com. The Metal Summit will be there as well. So we definitely love to see any members of the Metal Summoners, any fans of the show, as well as just the fans in general coming out to support a great guy and a great team. We thank Saren Cadaver from Twisted Vines Horror Decor out of Rhode Island. She does handcrafted like Ouija boards, voodoo dolls, all kinds of like cool little creepy things. She's phenomenal about what she does. We really, really appreciate her as well. And we also want to thank David Rosenfeld. Is brand new to the team. Is a brand new sponsor of the Metal Summit from Rosenfeld and Associates Dental Care. NJSmile.com If you mention the Metal Summit, you get discounts and bonus offers. So we definitely want to let you guys know about that. Anybody in the Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area that's looking for anything like that, it's an award-winning dental office. So, David, we really appreciate you getting involved with us. We thank you so much for supporting the show and being a fan. He's a musician as well. So we really want to thank those people so much for being involved with us. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. Angel?
Speaking of Dave actually has a question.
Cool.
It has to do with being a producer. His question is, as a producer, do you like to have the bass layer multiple tracks?
Wow. When it's appropriate, sure. But I'm wondering if he means multiple tracks of one bass performance, because I do that all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I always take it direct, just so I have control later down the line, even if you don't really hear it much in the mix. And then I always like to have an amp, and then I like to have a real distorted amp. That's my general setup. I mean, I'll change it accordingly sometimes, but that's generally what I do.
Cool.
Nice, man. Right on, for sure. Angel, do you want to roll with it for a second, buddy? Do we have more questions, or do you want me to kick it?
You could kick it, dude.
No worries, Bobby. Take it over, buddy.
Danger time. So Ray, Canfield or whatever. Where the hell did that come from?
Well, okay, so they're used when we were doing. Must have been the Dysfunctional record. Anyways, Michael was always drinking these Canfield's chocolate sodas. He loved these things, and so when I would, because I like to hang out and learn, I would hang with him and I'd drink them with us. So he started calling me Ray Canfield, and he still does to this day.
So, okay, couple other things. You and I talked about bass players, and I'm going to bring up a couple. Wooten. Who is the guy who made you go, yeah, that's it?
Absolutely, Chris Squire. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, when I heard a very, very dear friend of mine, who's still a friend to this day, we went, we started playing together at 14 years old. So we're
about the same age. So
yeah. So anyways, he played me Roundabout one day, and he said, "You got to hear this." And I heard it, and I said, "That's what I want to sound like." So I changed everything. I had been playing a Gibson EB3. I went and got a Rickenbacker bass. I started playing with a pick. I got 12-inch speakers.
Yeah.
I got, Rotosound strings. I mean, I did everything. I learned every note on every Yes album. I just became a fanatic, and it was a huge. He was a huge mentor. I mean, that was really good for my playing, because to try and play like Squire, you got to, it takes work. So, yeah, he was definitely the guy. He was the guy that turned it all around.
It's interesting you say that. You and I talked prior to being on the air. I'm good friends with Pinnock and, Mike from Triumph. And everybody goes back to Squire. Everybody's like, dude, he's the shit. That's the guy right there.
I mean, what a genius, what a brilliant player, what a great feel,
amazing.
Great selection. And the sound is incredible. And that was really what turned my head, was the sound. The sound was just so angry and cool.
Over the years, I played with Alan White with Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And he was like, you don't understand what Chris did to the band. Everybody says it was, whether it was Wakeman or I'm going, no, it's Chris who pushed.
Definitely made them. I mean, what's funny is I've got a bunch of the multi-tracks of a bunch of Yes songs, and you take the bass out of it, and all the aggression is gone. It's just unbelievable. He was the heart and he was the fire in that band,
But and I'm not to blow smoke in your ass. Look, when you guys did the Monsters of Rock cruise or tour in Philly at JFK, if you pull the bass out, your shit
Well, that's because we're a trio, so you're a third is good. One third less good, I should say. Yeah.
But
Well,
I know what you're going for.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome,
Wow.
man. Right on for sure. Psycho Steve, let's kick it back up to you, my friend.
Well, not to show my age, but I saw you guys at Giant Stadium for that tour.
Yeah.
And you had hair.
Yes, my grandmother took me to that show.
Oh, God.
Yeah, 'cause you weren't old enough to drive us to the show yet, so.
Exactly. No, that was like 4 years
Steve,
later.
we all know your grandmother. Yeah. No.
Yeah. She loves metal. All right. So my question is, as far as in, like, first of all, your first concert.
Ever?
Who-
It was the Beach Boys, the Ventures. It was the Milwaukee Pop Fest.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was the Beach Boys, the Ventures, Vehicle, who had the song Vehicle by the band Ides of March, Tommy Rowe, Andy Kim, who else? It was just, it was of that. It was May of 1970. So that was my first concert. Then my next big concert was Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 72. So Led Zeppelin at the actually, I remember this perfectly. I saw them June 17th, 1972, which was the day of the Watergate break-in, which is how I remember that. And I saw them at the Coliseum in Portland, Oregon.
That's freaking rad.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they have any support?
Nope. And I thought, and we had heard that Humble Pie was opening. So when
Right.
they walked out on the stage, and back then you didn't know what people looked like near as not as much. So them walking on, I saw a guy with long blonde hair. I thought that was Steve Marriott.
Right.
I thought, oh, this must be Humble Pie. And then they're bashing on their instruments, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa, that's Led Zeppelin. I had a bootleg of that concert for years and years and years that I recorded myself, but
Oh.
ended up getting stolen at a boarding house that I lived at.
All right. We got to book that for you, either video clip or recording of it somehow, and I'll get it to you.
Okay.
June 17th, 72. You said June 17th, right? 72?
17th, 1972.
Okay. Everybody, look out for
We're
it.
on it.
We're on
A
it.
gift for Jeff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Along with my Metal Summit t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yes. What size?
Large.
Perfect. Right on, man. Absolutely. Mr. Perlzweig, it's about that time to bring you back, man. Come on, Mr. Sharp Dress Man.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh man. So Led Zeppelin, huh? That man, I'm like I would have loved to see them. But
Oh, and that was when they were the most on fire then. Plant was singing every note, Black Dog, everything. It was so great. It was so great.
Cool. That was very cool.
Hey, Jeff, not to interject, but I will, but 72.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you remember that? I'm like, look, I'm like,
Because Watergate is the memory for almost 50 years.
look, we all remember Nixon, but I'm like going, oh my God. I'm like going, I remember my parents taking me to see The Song Remains the Same, and I'm going, wow, Jeff's got it. I'm like, you didn't do drugs.
Oh yeah, I did. I did a lifetime supply, my friend.
All right. So
Go ahead, Jason.
yeah,
Back.
no problem. So if you could pick your dream band, who would be on stage with you? Living or dead?
Okay, my dream band all the way around.
Yeah.
Of
Of course, you would be the bass player.
Yeah, okay, I'll play bass. Either Vinny Appice or Brian Tishy on drums.
Oh, love Brian.
Yeah. Both. I just love playing with both of those guys, and they're both so heavy. Probably George on guitar. Yeah, George on guitar. Vinny or Brian would be amazing. And then Living or Dead, you said?
Yes.
Well, it'd be fun to have Ronnie in there. Because Ronnie and George never got to play together. That would be really fun.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever play with Randy?
Randy Rhodes? No.
Yeah.
No. George did, though. George actually took over his students when Randy went and joined Ozzy. Yeah. But and I know he knew him, but no, I never met Randy.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't move to LA till '83, and he died in '82. So you know.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to see him at Philly in the Tower.
Right.
But yeah. Wow, I thought you were out there at that time.
No, I mean I was in San Francisco, but no, I never met Randy.
And I'm going to throw this out a little bit. How is your relationship with Frankie Benelli?
Oh, great. I love Frankie.
We all did too. You know, we were all very close with Frankie.
Yeah, that was very sad. But I feel like I kind of got to say goodbye, which is nice.
Good.
Sorry, guys. I hate that when that happens.
It's okay.
That's cool. Actually, mentioning since you mentioned that you were out in San Francisco at that time, because before you came down to LA, did you have any like contact much with the Bay Area thrash scene, like the guys that would become Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer?
You know what?
I
didn't know of any. The only guy I knew, in that time was Kirk Hammett. Was just a kid that used to come to our shows. I think he was in Exodus at the time.
Yeah.
I don't remember for sure, but I mean, would I have ever guessed that he'd be in, the biggest band in the world? No.
No.
I mean, he was just a nice guy that he usually liked to sit up and watch, up front and watch the musicians. So I don't know. But that's about all I can remember, really. I don't think I knew any of the other guys.
Oh, that's cool, man, for sure. Before I kick it over to Angel, I just have a question about your vocal style, because you honestly are considered a very well-renowned vocalist. Like, people consider your vocal ability to be on a very, very high level. And I mean, I love listening to you sing personally. You talked earlier in the interview about, your early band being like, hey, do you want to sing for us? Because they liked you singing that root beer song and those other kind of things. But then as you just continue to sing, just talk a little bit about what you do to keep yourself on such a high level.
Well, I mean, really singing, it is a muscle, so you got to work it, Actually, I feel a little rustier right now than I have been, but I don't really consider myself a singer. I love to sing, and I can sing, and I like to sing in certain settings, but I like hearing other people sing better. So, when the time is right, I love to sing, but I kind of feel like I guess I will say I'm fairly consistent, and it's just down to taking care of yourself and keeping healthy and knowing what you can and cannot do. I mean, it's a physical instrument. You have to be careful with it.
Absolutely. 100%. Angel, it's all you, my dude.
Wow. Some really good questions.
Okay. That's why we're here.
David Rosenfeld wants to know, do you have a favorite song from the band? Yes.
A favorite song? Wow.
From the band, yes.
It's either the song Heart of the Sunrise or Close to the Edge, the piece Close to the Edge. Probably Close to the Edge. I don't know. I love them both. Yeah, I love them all. I love all the Yes albums, Fragile and Close to the Edge. I love every moment of those records.
Nice.
Kim Sullivan, she wants to know, what is the one thing you should get credit for? I'm sorry. What is the one thing you should get credit for that you don't get credit for enough?
Wow. Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a judge of whether I've gotten enough credit on anything or not. I mean, I feel like I'm. I suppose there was the the thing where, you always kind of, people would always center in on the guitar player and the singer, so, that, but people are always trying to get me to say, that I don't feel like I'm getting enough attention. I kind of feel in Dokken I did get enough attention. I mean, considering that the guitar player and the singer should get a lot of attention, I feel like Mick and I got, our just due. I mean, did we do anything that special? I don't think so. So, I don't really have any problem with what I've been credited for.
Carrie wants to.
Thank you for thinking of me.
Next one is from Carrie wants to know, who have you always wanted to work with as a player or producer that you haven't worked with yet?
I haven't worked with yet. Ooh.
Yeah. Anybody that you want to work with?
As a player, if I could ever play with Jimmy Page, that would be really fun. As a producer, wow. I've never produced Warren DeMartini, and he's a really good friend. So I would love to do that someday. That would be really fun because I've never really worked with Warren, and I think we would be great. So there you go.
Nice.
And Adam Snow, okay, he has a really good question. Can you pick your top 3 or top 5 albums that you have played on?
Oh boy, wow, that's tough.
Wow, Adam,
right, well, I'm
do you
gonna
have any idea how big this man's catalog is?
Yeah.
Yes.
So new Ant Machine record, just so that you all have to hear it.
When does the record come out?
April 9th. April 9th. Wait, was this a bass playing question or just an in general question?
Just in a general question.
Well, there's moments of the Black Swan record that I'm extremely proud of that I think are, those I could see those going into the time capsule. Let me think. What else? There's a song called "The Flame Still Burns" that Foreigner just did a couple years ago. That track I think was really cool. That was actually recorded here too, and I think it just came out really cool for me. So there you go.
And which one are you the most proud of?
Wow, I just don't know. There isn't like any one singular one like, wow, that's the most, I'm the most proud of that. I just don't think there's a one standout kind of thing. There's just bunches of them. So sorry, I can't be more explicit.
No, that's cool. I know that from experience, everybody, like when you ask a favorite, is pretty hard just to pick one single thing when you have a multiple catalog.
You're always working on the next thing, and you're always kind of thinking in terms of, what I'm doing right now is the best thing I've ever done.
Oh, why, thank you, Jeff. We're happy to have you too.
Yeah, see?
Dennis Sanchez wants to know, what are your thoughts on Oni Logan?
Oh, Oni Logan?
Logan.
I love Oni Logan. I love his voice, and he's just a sweet guy who I adore. So all positive with Oni. Love the sound of his voice. Just love it. And I love working with him too. I've worked with him many times, and it's always great.
And my question is, again, how do you keep yourself in shape when you're on tour?
You know what? I definitely you have to work out, and you have to watch what you eat when you're on the road, big time. And during the pandemic, I've been doing Pilates two times a week, virtually, which is amazing. It's really, really cool. But my wife actually runs a website, and I actually teach meditation on that site as well. It's hotforyogascv.com is the website, and you can take my meditation classes. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then there's Pilates classes at the same time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I've been doing that twice a week, and let me tell you, that really helps keep you in shape, man. Pilates is an ass kicker.
I've never tried it.
You should try it. You could benefit from it.
But you know what? I had both my hips replaced a few years ago, And I went in to see the doctor a little over a year ago for a progress report. And he looked at me. He said, well, you're doing your hips are great. He said the bad news is your back is bad. And he goes, you got to start doing something, or you're going to be one of those little old men who's all hunched over. So he said, do something like Pilates. And, I came home and my wife already was teaching a Pilates class. So she said, ahem. So I've been doing that now ever since. And it works wonders, man. It's great.
That's awesome. Right on. So real quick, I want to let the Metal Summoners know and all of Jeff's fans know it is last call for alcohol, guys. Final questions from you guys for Jeff. Put them into the comments. Final questions, final comments, write them in there so that Angel can be on top of that when we kick it back to them. So it is last call for alcohol, guys. Jeff, when it comes to me, obviously, as you can tell, Bobby has an insane amount of guitars. I don't know how much you can really see behind me, but there's guitars and basses in like every corner of this room.
Cool.
I'm sure Bobby does. I know I do. I'm sure you've got quite an extensive collection of basses and guitars of your own. Do they have names? Do any of your basses have names?
Actually, no, they don't.
Really?
I don't name them.
Okay, fair enough.
That's because we speak telepathically.
All right. Right on. I always have this funny thing, which is true. Like all of my guitars and my basses, they all have their own individual little stands, because if they don't have their own little stands, they get jealous of each other. Mm. So like they all have to have their own little place. But it is funny because I do have like different little names. I got one that I call Stacy. I have like a glittery Les Paul style one that I call Star. And then I actually do have a guitar. I showed it to the guys off the air because I just got it, but I call him George because he kind of has that striped George Lynch look from like his Tiger guitars or like the Skull and Bones one he used in Dream Warriors. So I actually do have a guitar that I call George. But I've always kind of wanted to ask a question to a player that I know has an arsenal. So I was kind of curious if any of
no names.
No names. That's all right. Not a problem at all. Psycho Steve.
So I have a fan that actually that I'm dear friends with. He is in New Hampshire. He wanted to know about if there will ever be another Black Swan album.
Yes. We were actually gonna start writing in January. Rev be coming out here, but the COVID was still real bad in LA. Gotcha. So he'll probably. We're kind of shooting for April right now for him to come out. And so, we're going to definitely start writing one. And the plan is to release it in 2022.
Awesome. And then how about producing a third Last in Line album?
They're doing a record. I won't be producing it. But there is a third Last in Line record.
Nice. All right. So that was for Kerry. He's in New Hampshire. He, kind of bribed me to ask you the question. But my question is, after COVID is done, are you ready to go back on the road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Will you go on the road with any of these other side projects besides Foreigner, like Black Swan or?
I mean, who knows? It's, right now it's so hard to even imagine playing at all. So, that's a real in the future question. But, possible. I know that Frontiers has talked to us about trying to do something where we set up live when COVID winds down, but there aren't necessarily live shows yet. So if that's the case, I think they'd like us to set up in a soundstage somewhere and do a streaming thing. So maybe that'll happen, but we'll see.
Awesome.
Right on, man. For sure. Jason Broswell, let me kick it over to you, buddy. Do you have anything to finish up with Jeff?
Yeah, just a couple things. One is you mentioned earlier the band Exodus. I had to dive into my archives, but I'm like, is that the band that I met years ago? It turns out that it was. I just happened to meet them in the airport in Paris. I was there. Nice. I was there meeting my wife, she was flying in, so I was there waiting, at where they have the arrivals come, and then out walked these guys, like they looked like they were in a band, and I'm like, oh, so they're pretty cool guys. I just figured I'd share that little bit with you because you mentioned Exodus before, and that triggered my mind. But
Cool.
yeah, so that was out in Paris. Now you knew Ronnie very well, and I'm curious as to how you were about when it was decided to go on tour with a hologram of him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I never really saw it, so I can't really judge it. I saw some, was it video? I either saw a video or I think I saw some video footage of it. Looked kind of cool to me. I just couldn't get a good enough idea, to be honest with you. So I don't really know. All I know is that anything that gets Ronnie's legacy out there is fine by me.
Yeah, I was curious, because sometimes, people
Yeah, I mean, I've
might
heard
not think it's
bad.
the best thing in the
Yeah.
world, but yeah, that's got to be some crazy thing to experience something like that, like just to even see a video of it,
Yeah,
It's just
a
like,
little odd, but hey, like I say, I mean, I just as many people that can know about Ronnie, the better.
Absolutely. Actually, to piggyback real quick off of Jason's question, now that I kind of thought about it, they did that fantastic Ronnie tribute album a few years back. Jeff, did you get to play on that?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I did a song with Brian Tichy and Oni Logan and Rowan Robertson. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I'm still real close to that whole organization. It's like a family. It really is.
For sure, definitely. Angel, how's everything going, man? Before we get to around that time, do we have any finals from the fans?
Yes, we do. Final two questions.
Okay.
This one's from Tony. What band are you dying to see?
Wow. What band am I dying to see?
He wants to see Zeppelin again.
I gotta say, nobody am I dying to see right now. I'm trying to play more than see.
Cool. And David Rosenfeld wants to know any favorite plugins for producing.
Wow, big question. Well, I love Universal Audio stuff. Universal Audio makes amazing plugins, but of course you have to have a separate, either a chassis or a card for that. So it is expensive, but if you're able to afford it, great stuff. Universal Audio. I like a lot of IK multimedia stuff. I like all the Avid plugins with Pro Tools. Waves. I love Wave stuff. So kind of, I guess the usuals.
Oh.
Right on.
And I forgot my question.
Sorry, buddy.
I'll kick it up to you, Jay.
No worries, man. It's all right. Just speak up in case anything kicks. Something that kind of hit me, Jeff, that I'm a little curious to ask you, just because the way that the world's kind of shaping up right now, and I kind of thought about this halfway through the episode with the way that things are changing in your relationship with George and all that kind of stuff, is I kind of started thinking a little bit about how things have been changing and the sensitivity and what people are referring to as cancel culture. And with your relationship with George and him speaking out recently on going by George Lynch, I'm assuming, as opposed to the Lynch Mob moniker.
Right.
Is there anything that you can kind of talk about that, if you don't mind, about whether you agree or disagree? It's completely up to your, what you want to discuss, but I'm kind of curious to get your opinion on it.
My opinion is, I obviously I know George real well. He absolutely means it when he just feels it's being insensitive to use the name Lynch Mob. He's not being some snowflake or anything. He's just, he's looking at it like, wow, it wasn't a good thing. Lynch mobs weren't good things. So I think in an age of widened sensitivity, it makes total sense for him to give up the name, in my opinion. I mean, did it ever bother me? Of course not. But I'm not the type of person I'm not in a category that would be offended by that. So
sure.
I mean, no, it doesn't personally offend me, but I certainly understand why he would think it's an offensive name.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that was kind of my thought about it. It was not so much did it ever offend you. I didn't really think about it like that. But as somebody who's known George for so long, would know where he'd be coming from on that. I figured, talking to somebody like yourself with that real relationship as opposed to George directly, you would be probably the best person to talk to about that.
Perhaps. And I can tell you, he does mean it. It comes from a good place.
Yeah. Absolutely, for sure. But Jeff, man, we really appreciate this, man.
You too, guys.
Has been fantastic, man. And
yes,
our big thing on this show is always how the guest feels. Did you feel respected? Did you enjoy your evening? And did you like the questions you were asked?
All of the above. It was all great. It was really fun. You guys are great. It's nice that you got a nice big bunch there, and I got to see a Jocko bass. Come on.
Absolutely, 100%. And Jeff, before we cut you loose, brother, for anybody that's looking for you, where can they find you?
Okay, I'm the real Jeff Pilson on Instagram, I believe, and the Jeff Pilson fan page on Facebook. Come and see me out. I get messages there. I'll answer you. And Jeff@jeffpilson.com is another way to get a hold of me. But Instagram, Facebook's probably the best, I guess. But yeah, check me out and check out the fan page. And I just hope everybody can check out the new M Machine when it comes out. I'm very proud of it and very excited about it.
Absolutely, man, 100%. Well, Jeff, again, thank you very much. We definitely do have plans and in the works when it comes to T-shirts. We will definitely take care of you there, man, for sure.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we can't wait to see you back out on the road, man. I mean, whether or not it's in Foreigner or just any of your various projects, I definitely understand that supergroup type thing on the road can be tricky because all the members have their various projects. But, dude, we can't wait for shows to open up. We can't wait to see you. And, again, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate your time.
Me too, guys. Thank you so much for talking everything. And I'll be back, I'm sure. So thanks.
Absolutely, no problem. You've got a lifetime pass, any episode that you want, anytime. And
thank you,
fans,
guys.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jeff, again, thank you. This is our 1-year anniversary episode. It means so much to us. Fans, thank you guys so much because the fact of the matter is, you built this city on rock and roll, man. So we appreciate you guys, rocking out our 1-year anniversary for this show. We look forward to bringing you guys so much more as long as you'll have us. Guest announcement on Friday. We can't wait to let you guys know. And we've also got a fun announcement to let you guys know about as soon as it's announced by the event. As something that we could be involved in. So stay tuned for that as well. But guest announcement on Friday. We'll see you guys next week. For Jason Perlsweig, for the Psycho Steve, for Bobby Dreyer, for Angel Alamo, I'm Jay, and for Jeff Pilson. Thank you again, my friend. Again, fans, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. As always, this has been the Metal Summit.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, brother.